Born in Akron, Ohio, U.S., Coe lived a troubled youth, spending much of his time in and out of various youth correctional facilities. Having befriended each other in prison, it is thought that Coe was inspired to pursue a career in music by Screamin' Jay Hawkins, with the pair thought to have written songs together whilst behind bars. Upon release from a prison term, Coe took heed of Hawkins' advice and traveled to Nashville to begin a career in music. As a talented songwriter and charismatic performer, Coe has garnered legendary status in the world of country music, alongside his wild tales and behavior. Could the material that made his legendary songs be inspired by his own tumultuous life? Is there a mystery behind what this man expresses through his songs? A complicated, early life. David Allan Coe was born September 6, 1939, is an American singer and songwriter. Coe took up music after spending much of his early life in reform schools and prisons, and first became notable for busking in Nashville. He initially played mostly in the blues style before transitioning to country music, becoming a major part of the 1970s outlaw country scene. After being sent to the Star Commonwealth Four Boys Reform School at the age of 9, Coe spent much of the next 20 years in correctional facilities, including 3 years at the Ohio Penitentiary. Coe claimed he received encouragement to begin writing songs from Screamin' Jay Hawkins, with whom he had spent time in prison. After concluding another prison term in 1967, Coe embarked on a music career in Nashville, living in a hearse that he parked in front of the Ryman Auditorium while he performed on the street. He caught the attention of Shelby Singleton, owner of the independent record label Plantation Records, and signed a contract with his label. A unique musical style. Coe's rebellious attitude, wild image, and unconventional lifestyle set him apart from other country performers, both winning him legions of fans and hindering his mainstream success by alienating the music industry establishment. Coe continues to be a popular performer on the country circuit. Coe's musical style derives from blues, rock, and country music traditions. His vocal style is described as a throaty baritone. His lyrical content is often humorous or comedic, with William Ruhlman describing him as a near parody of a country singer. Stephen Thomas Erlewine describes Coe as a great, unashamed country singer, singing the purest honky-tonk and hardest country of his era. He may not be the most original outlaw, but there is none more outlaw than him. His lyrics have spurred controversy, featuring frequent profanities, tales of drug use, and sexually explicit material, gaining him the title of the Outlaws' Outlaw. With his throaty baritone and dirty grooves, Coe's honky-tonk country certainly sounds pretty badass. Coe's lyrics frequently include references to alcohol and drug use and are often boisterous and cocky. Coe's debut album, Penitentiary Blues, was described as voodoo blues and redneck music by AllMusic's Tom Jurek. It focused on themes such as working for the first time, blood tests from veins used to inject heroin, prison time, hoodoo imagery, and death. The album's influences included Charlie Rich, Jerry Lee Lewis, Bo Diddley, Lightnin' Hopkins, and Tony Joe White. Coe later explained that, "I didn't really care for some of the country music until people like Chris Christopherson and some of those people started writing songs. They had a little more to say than just, 'Oh baby, I miss you,' or whatever. I don't do anything halfway. Once I got into country music, I went back and researched it and learned everything there was to know about it. I could do impersonations of Roy Acuff, Ernest Tubb, Hank Snow, Marty Robbins, just about anybody. I knew just about all there was to know about country music." Coe's first country album, The Mysterious Rhinestone Cowboy, has been described as alt-country, pre-punk, and a hillbilly version of Mark Bolan's Glitz and Glitter. Credited influences on the album include Merle Haggard. In his early career, Coe was known for his unpredictable live performances, in which he would ride a Harley-Davidson motorcycle onto the stage and curse at his audience. Coe has also performed in a rhinestone suit and a mask that resembled that of the Lone Ranger, calling himself the mysterious rhinestone cowboy. The album Rebel Meets Rebel featured a song, Cherokee Cry, which criticizes the United States government's treatment of Native Americans. When asked why he did not write more political songs, Coe replied, "I live in my own world, not the world. I just write songs about what affects me in everyday life. At one point, I wrote a song that was sort of a protest about when they were talking about drafting women into the military. It was about my son making it past the draft, but my daughter didn't. And I've done Farm Aid." One reviewer once said, "Coe may have had some hits, but it is records like this that make one wonder if there was not a conspiracy to marginalize him and make him fail." Coe is a brilliant songwriter well into the 21st century and deserves to be lauded along with the likes of Nelson and Jennings and Christopherson and Newberry, and even Cash. Coe's contributions to country music and his involvement in the outlaw country movement have permanently changed the business despite his unusual approach and sometimes divisive reputation. He is among the most distinctive voices in the genre, since he can combine comedy, narrative, and real feeling into his songs. The Outlaws. Released in 1976, Coe's third Columbia Records album, Long-Haired Redneck, signaled a dramatic career turning point. Completely embracing the outlaw country concept, Coe penned or co-wrote every song on the album. Capturing the tension and irony inside the several groups that comprised Coe's audience, the title song, Long-Haired Redneck, became an anthem for the movement. A graphic depiction of the cultural conflicts within the country music scene, the song recounts a scenario in a dive bar whereby bikers stare at the cowboy who is laughing at the hippies who are praying they'll get out here alive. Coe added levels of authenticity and respect to his performance by copying the vocals of country stars Ernest Tubb, Bill Anderson, and Merle Haggard in the song. Later on, Coe clarified that he used the moniker Long-Haired Redneck to question preconceptions by stating, "Not everyone with long hair was a hippie. Not everyone was the kind of guy you could punch them out, take their money, and that they would say, 'I won't do nothing about it.'" With seminal albums like Willie Nelson's Red-Headed Stranger and the first platinum record in the genre, Wanted, The Outlaws, the outlaw country movement was at its height by 1977. Considered a major player in this movement, Coe started claiming his influence on its evolution via his music. His CD Rides Again is a shining illustration of this, since it opens with the song Willie, Waylon, and Me, in which Coe sets himself beside the two most important members of the movement. This audacious action, though, had unanticipated effects. AllMusic claims that Coe's attempt to fit Nelson and Jennings led to self-parody, a tendency he would have followed all through his career. Rides Again broke with the conventional country music style, with songs that cross-faded into one another without the customary gaps between tracks. The record distinguishes Coe also by using strongly phased guitar on numerous tracks. A rare concession from a big label at the time, Columbia Records even let him utilize his own band for portions of the songs. Notwithstanding these developments, some of Coe's contemporaries in the outlaw country scene were not very happy with his self-promotion. Coe seemed to them to be using his contacts with Jennings and Nelson for personal benefit. Jennings's drummer, Richie Albright, summed up the conflicting emotions about Coe by saying, "He's a fantastic, great songwriter, a really good singer. If the truth turned out to be better than a falsehood he had created, nevertheless, he could not speak the truth." Waylon made him uncomfortable enough not to hang about. Nonetheless, Willie did. David Allen was with Willie 80% of the time. I was around him really a lot. Willie let him stay around. But as the slicker, more commercialized urban cowboy era took the front stage in the country music scene, the outlaw country movement was starting to decline by 1981. Johnny Lee's "Lookin' for Love," a song he attacked as an example of watered-down cowboy music, symbolized this change. Even while Coe was important in the outlaw country genre, He showed little desire to follow the new trends sweeping the business. He refused to sacrifice his artistic integrity or soften his music to suit the urban cowboy style that was becoming rather fashionable. Coe scored a few modest hits during this period, but mainstream success eluded him yet. Get a Little Dirt on Your Hands, a duet with Bill Anderson, was his highest charting single during this period. It peaked at number 45. Despite these little successes, Coe stayed dedicated to his trade even as he grew more conscious of the concessions he was making to please the record label. The last suite of tracks on his 1982 album DAC possibly best captures this sense of compromise and irritation. The suite opens with a prologue in which Coe muses over the difficulties of recording and notes, first and foremost, he is an entertainer. He says he had decided deliberately to split his albums between songs for the record company and ones for himself. Whether or not his song got radio attention, the suite paid homage to his devoted supporters who had helped him all during his career. Coe recognized at this point the conflict between creative expression and commercial needs, a struggle that has shaped most of his career. The financial problem. Like many artists of his day, Coe struggled greatly financially, especially in relation to the IRS. Like Willie Nelson and Jerry Lee Lewis, Coe fought the IRS about back taxes, which finally cost him the publication rights to his compositions, including his popular "Take This Job and Shove It." Reflecting on the matter in a 2003 interview, Coe said, "All of my songs up to 1984 were sold in a bankruptcy procedure for, like, $25,000 from the bankruptcy court, since nobody notified me they'd been put up for sale. The IRS stated I owed them $100,000 basically. Everything was wrecked when we had a flood at where I was living. They understood I had no records, that is, any evidence of what I did or did not have. I so recently filed for bankruptcy." Willie Nelson decided to cope with them. "I omitted to do so. Right now, I am quite straight with them. My only source of income is the money I make from my new songs and from road performing." Coe explained in another interview his distance from his earlier efforts, especially his X-rated albums. Said he, "Every song on the X-rated albums sold. That stuff is no longer something I own. I am not involved in that kind of business. Though I don't make one dime, they have to credit me as the songwriter." This acknowledgement revealed a complicated relationship with his previous work, one defined by both artistic freedom and the hard reality of the music business.